Hello, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Adrielle, and I am currently narrating a story of my life dating back from January 2016. In the previous episode, I spoke about the month of August 2019, and this episode, I am going to talk about September 2019. So, here it goes. September 2019. Oh man, I was just in my head a lot about me being broke and unemployed and being in the wilderness. So I'm just telling myself September has to be the month that something happens because I can't keep living like this. So September comes, it's September 6th, and I get a text message from my brother's friend that works at London. He messaged me about a opportunity at London, and this opportunity wasn't analyst position, but it was a rotational program. Now, this rotational program was a sales position. And I remember thinking to myself, man, I do not want to do sales at all. But if he is advising me to apply for this position and it's a rotational program, something is better than nothing. So I applied to the position September 6th, and that's what happened. September 9th. It's after midnight. It's after midnight. I'm laying in bed and I'm just thinking about a particular thing which was so odd. I thought about it so much that I decided that I wanted to Google it. So I pick up my phone. Once I picked up my phone, I saw an email notification from London and it said application status, next steps. I'm like, wait, what? I'm moving forward with the application. Like, I'm moving forward to the second round with this sales position. I was so excited. I was like, oh my goodness. Yes, this is all coming together. I'm about to get a job. So, anyways, I go to my email. I read the email, and the next steps, which was the second round, was a cognitive assessment that I had to take by September 17th. And I was like, oh my goodness. Okay. So I'm going to plan to take this test. And yeah. So I was just so excited in bed. I'm like, man, this is it. Everything's coming together. I believed July 31st, like God was bringing me to London. And this whole path just seemed smooth. So yeah, I was just so excited. After September 9th, like I said, I'm just broke, unemployed, being at home doing nothing basically. I remember just laying on my couch one day, looking at my book bag and seeing some files that I had from the internship position. And I'm like, man, I never gave these people back their folder and their files. I need to go back there and give it to them. So I think I went back like on a Monday or something like that. I went down there and I said, hey, I have your files from back in, February, March. Here it is. And then the lady that was working there, she asked me, she's like, hey, are you doing anything right now? Are you working? I know you graduated. Is there anything you have going on? And I told her no. Then she says, well, they have a project going on. Would I want to be a part of it? Because they need people on board. And I was like, sure. They're like, okay, we'll pay you what you were getting before back in February. And I was like, sure, I'll do it. So I had a job ish. I had a job ish. So the project was for only 2 weeks. Actually, no, the project was for a month. Project was for a month, but at least it was something. So I went back home saying, okay, now I have a project. Now I have a job that I can do and makes a little cash or whatever. So I was working on that. By the middle of September, I'm going through the process of, the London application. I am working with the internship for that month and I'm going through the acid reflux. I'm just going through all the emotions. But something that was happening around this time was as I was leaving legalism, I felt like I was being drawn to God's grace. Now, when I say I was being drawn to God's grace, I'm not necessarily talking about God's grace for my life, just God's grace in general. I stopped looking at people like they were heathens. I started looking at them like, no, they need to be saved. So back in 2016 and 2017, when I was walking with God, all I was focused on was my relationship with God. I wasn't thinking about salvation or salvation in general. So anytime I would hear about a person passing away and their family members saying nice things about them, in my head, I'm like, oh, they're going to heaven. But I never really thought to myself, like, man, did these people ever give their life to Jesus? Because if they didn't, they're not going to heaven. So I remember just becoming so, so fixed on wanting people to go to heaven. I remember telling God at this point that, Lord, oh my goodness, I feel kind of emotional. I remember telling God at this point that, God, I don't want anyone to miss heaven. People need to be saved. And after I said that, I remember just thinking to myself, like, man, Adriel, you feel that way. How does God feel? How does God feel that people are not coming to Christ? So in my mind, I'm thinking, man, I have work to do. I have work to do to tell people about Jesus. And oh my goodness, I have work to do to tell people about Jesus. And I remember just saying, hey, if I can do this as a living, if God can be my boss, and my career is telling people about Jesus, then so be it. I'd rather have that than work at a corporate job for the rest of my life. I want Jesus to be my boss, and I tell people about Jesus so they can get saved. So I just remember this shift happening in the month of September of me being drawn to God's grace for mankind, of wanting people to draw close to Jesus and give their life to Jesus, and wanting people to inherit eternal life. So so that was what was happening in September. Yeah, that was what was happening in the month of September. I am going to stop the episode right here because I am super emotional right now. But in the next episode, I am going to talk about what happened. What happened in the rest of the month of September, y'all. If you like this episode, just like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.